Welcome to A Breath of Fresh Career, Season 2, Episode 14. I am joined by Garren Parkins of DeskRig. Man, I am so psyched to have you on. I don't know if you know this or not, but this was kind of planned. This was it's a little bit over a year since we last had you on A Breath of Fresh Career. Man, and I don't even know if we've talked about it, but I received so many great comments and emails and phone calls about the episode we put together. So I'm really excited to have you back on.
I'm excited to be here. Yeah, you already know. I went back with my wife, and I think I mentioned this to you over text, but my wife and I watched the previous episode and just enjoyed that and went back in time and kind of, reminisced on what life was like a year ago. When we started this business, and it was pretty cool. So I'm really excited to be here as well and talk about the past year.
So let's talk about what's changed since we've last spoken on A Breath of Fresh Career.
Whew. How much time we got again? It's 9.
As much as you want, man. It's an open forum.
So entrepreneurship is hard, right? Like it is not for the weak stomach. You have to have a ton of passion. You have to have a ton of gall. You have to be a little bit crazy, I think, to be an entrepreneur. And I'm learning that along the way. It will take a lot out of you as it has. It's been a challenging year, and really where to begin. When we left off last year, there was a lot of momentum around my team, and we were starting to really get some steam, it felt like, in terms of growth and figuring out our direction. You fast forward a year, just to give a preview, and in April, we started all over.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What do you mean? What do you mean started all over?
Well, it's like the movie, right? I'm like showing you the last scene before we get into the story. So trying to get people hooked out there.
Well, I relate that best to the teacher in college who gives you the test, and it's going to be a hard ass test or exam, right?
Right.
This cat gives you the test weeks before the actual test, so you can prepare for it. Now, I don't know if you remember these, but these are like essays and shit.
Yeah.
You gotta prepare for it, right?
There is no right answer, right? There's no right answer. That's why I give it to you. They're like, here, you can have this, but when you step up in the booth.
So I'm developing nervous tics for a month during, prepping for this thing instead of just going in and being like, this is what I know. Just doing it, Tell me about starting over.
Yeah. So when we started the business, I think I told you a little bit about slicing pie. We had this startup framework. It's really cool. I think that it's still an amazing concept. What I learned is that the choice of character with the people that you bring into that pie matter. Of course it does. It always matters. But what I found with slicing pie and the type of equity earning and equity vesting system that slicing pie is that if you, don't manage people's entries against their value, there can be some frustration down the road. So, for instance, when we got going, I'm not a micromanager. I'm not the type of person to be up in somebody's business. I want to give you a task, say, you own this, run with it, right? That's the kind of leader I would like to be. And some people do great with that type of structure and framework. And some people, I feel like, don't. Some people need you on top.
And then you throw in the asshole card. So then you got that mixed in there.
100%. You can't win as a leader, really. I mean, that's the honest truth. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't in a way. But it's about finding the right individuals. And what I found was that when I gave people the agency to put in what they believed their value was in terms of time and effort and energy, hoping that they were reciprocating my effort and energy of at least a 40-hour work week, right, against their efforts, that those results weren't coming. And I saw week after week, I would see entries of 40 hours and 40 hours and 40 hours. And, I had asked them, go ahead and set up a recurring entry where you don't have to go in every week to get your time. But what ended up happening is that people would work less on that salary system. Not more. There wasn't a motivation to work more, even though they were working for their own ownership, and increasing their effort, increasing the value in the business would have increased the value of that ownership they were staking. They still weren't tying themselves to results. It was these arbitrary tasks. And this was the upfront. This was a slow burn thing that really started a chain of events that really was like a domino effect, where there's a little bit of frustration. You start to see entries that really you don't feel like have the value. And so that was one of the big things that I saw from a top level perspective. I brought some guys into the team that had varying degrees of experience and success in their own work lives. But sometimes giving somebody an opportunity is what they need to be able to shine, and especially taking ownership over that opportunity. But I found that picking the right people matters.
Yeah, it does.
Finding people who are in love with the craft,
that's why
with
they
the
pay
mission.
Me big bucks, man. That's the deal.
So
my real job, as a recruiter, is finding the right people, finding the right people. That's the key.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And I mean that there can't be enough said about finding the right people up front. And I really do believe that it has more to do with their belief in the mission and the vision of the role that they're going to be in, and the mission and the vision of that business and organization than anything else. Because if it's just a job, if it's just a startup opportunity where they think they're going to make money, they're not going to put in extra time. They're not going to be motivated to get more done. Because it is kind of a clock in, do the mundane task, and move on with it. And that was frustrating to me, that I felt that way about my team very early on, and I allowed that to kind of fester. And so that started, not too much farther after the podcast with you. And we brought some people on board, and we got some steam. We had three really main pillars of our business. We had the software, the hardware, and the creative services. And we were bringing those things together to ultimately provide a holistic solution to our customers. And
it's working, right? I mean, you're selling rigs.
Yeah, no, we have evolved. We've evolved. And that's what's good, is that these challenges, we had these, visions of grandeur. We wanted to be this big company that had these three distinct businesses inside of it, that ultimately, now looking back, you hear everybody say, really, you should focus on one thing, niche, and be one thing. And we knew that was a challenge, because DeskRig solution is made up of three very distinct pillars, right? It's hardware, it's software, and it's services. Well, software got taken by which is awesome, and they're an awesome company. I don't think
literally a company named
Yeah, they're a company named So our original idea to be a software company, have a software component.
I thought you were saying like software was taken by like me, but it's actually a company called
Yeah, they're awesome. They're made by the ex-CEO of Evernote and All Turtles. Okay. If you're familiar with that parent brand, they've made a bunch of cool software products. They're an amazing company, but they do an awesome job with and it's an exciting product. And when it came along, I think we felt a little bit, we were a little discouraged. Like the entire team, I could tell there was like a lot of people who were deflated on the team when that product came along. But from my perspective, we didn't have software expertise on the team, nor did we have like a true vision or visionary on who and what we were going to build for. And what we were going to build.
It's probably the most important thing with regards to product and roadmap and, understanding what's going on in the industry. And obviously this is like the new normal, right? This whole video meeting platform. I mean, we're going to talk about that in a minute in terms of like what you've seen is part of that. But you gotta have that product roadmap person in place. You gotta have engineers, developer teams. It can't just all come on you.
No.
Especially with a 3-pillared system like you have.
100%. And that's the problem with, I think, most entrepreneurs, is they don't recognize the size of their idea.
The size of the scope. Yeah, the scope.
The scope.
You know, I got to bring this up really quickly because, you know, I obviously LinkedIn is pretty large, big in my world. You're doing a ton on LinkedIn with regards to content. You're using your desk rig. You look amazing. I mean, I see all these other folks out there who are doing it, and it's brutal. You know, I mean, like, they're sitting over here in the corner, and they got all this confusing stuff in the background, and the ceiling fan, and the light, you know, Millennium Falcon light coming down on them. You know, tell me about that. Is it now a 4-legged stool that you're doing with all this content and stuff like that? I mean, because I think about Garren Parkins and DeskRig and how you might be able to influence me and my recruiting firm with those kind of, like, let's call it marketing efforts, because it's next level. If you guys are listening to this, and you have not seen the content that Garren's putting out there on LinkedIn, you absolutely need to. Now, you don't need to thank anybody. Here's the deal: it's next level. And if you guys are putting out content, you need to go to school on GP over here, because it's incredible. And honestly, and I'm not trying to throw a plug in there, I'm on a desk rig. I love it. We're going to talk about this too, but like, our house got hit by lightning a week ago Wednesday, and I'll throw a quick plug in there. USAA was incredible. We're insured by USAA, thanks to my father-in-law and his my deceased father-in-law, and he was in the Navy, a high-ranking official in the Navy, which has been amazing. But they stepped right up, man. I lost my desk rig computer, my Intel Nook. I lost everything. And when you lose that computer, you know that, like, you lose everything. So, Garren, thank you, by the way, for getting you and your team involved to kind of get me back up and running here so we could do a breath of fresh career. I missed it. I missed a week. We were supposed to do this last week. House gets hit by lightning, literally shut down. I mean, we had over $3,000 worth of damaged technology at the house, TVs, Apple TVs. The cool thing is let me throw another quick plug out there for those people who are listening. You need to use surge protectors. You need to. The days of plugging something into the wall that you value need to be gone. Need to be gone, because we lost 4 independent surge protectors. By the way, my computer was plugged into one, and the only thing I lost on that surge protector was the computer. But we lost 4 surge protectors, and everything else was protected that was on a surge protector. The TV that was plugged directly into the wall, right? Because you mount the TV, you hang the TV on the wall, and behind it's the plug. So you plug that thing in right there. You're not going to put a big surge protector back in there. And the Apple TV that was plugged in the other outlet right there, gone.
Yeah.
Toast.
Oh, yeah.
Modem, routers, everything. Gone.
Yeah, but in your case, at least that you rebuilt stronger with the better network. And I think that's, sometimes you got to burn it down to build it back up again.
Man, I'm going to throw another plug out there for my buddy Greg Zioli. He is setting me up, man. He's in here over at my desk rubbing his hands. He says, I love shopping with other people's money. And he's getting me set up with the whole, infrastructure, rack system, infrastructure, hard drives, independent hard drives for backup. And he got these WAP things that I'm going to be putting up in the attic and then down here in my office. And so I get unbelievably clear Wi-Fi, which, by the way, I don't use. The other thing I'm going to say really quick to throw a plug out to Garren, the first thing you told me is direct connect your Wi-Fi, your internet access, because you look at some of these other people who are posting this social media videos and all this other stuff, and they're not direct connected, and they look like Max Headroom. It's like, that's because they got a bad internet connection. So just plug it in the back. Go ahead, Garren. I'm sorry.
Brother, you're good. No, you're good. I'm glad you plugged all those people, because they all helped you get on board. And, I want to give a call out to Brian Hinkle.
Oh, man, Brian's the best. Your guy, Brian, he's amazing.
Right?
He's amazing. He's always there. He
is.
I don't know what he's doing, but he's always there.
No, he is. And that's I tell him this all the time. That is his best quality, is that he is.
Well, hold up. Everybody who listens to this knows that I'm married, coming up on 20 years. His best quality is his beard, for sure.
It is nice. You're right. I
can't do that. I can't
either.
I tried for 2 years.
I can't either. We got that baby face problem. Both of us have it. Now, I try to keep a little stubble on my goatee just to, make it look like I'm not 19 anymore. But, Brian's best quality is that he's extremely reliable, and he is always there. When something catches fire, right, Brian will be there to help you pick up the pieces, and very patient, working with highly technical and low technical individuals. I've enjoyed.
I'm the low technical individual.
Brian's one of those people that's been on the DeskRig team since really its inception, and he has been a current and stable fixture throughout the entire journey, and one of the only people who has really stood by my side through this. And it's funny because, going back to what I said earlier, he's passionate about this before. I
was just about to say that. The one thing that you pick up with Brian when you're working with Brian, when you have a technical issue or something, is that he really loves this.
Yeah, he does.
He really loves it, and he believes it, and he sees the value.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is awesome. So I interrupted you, but talk to us about what you've learned, right? Because you started with the slicing pie handbook thing. You found out that while it might be good in theory, it might not necessarily be the best thing for everybody with regards to building and structuring an organization. So go ahead.
Rule number 1. Don't hire your friends. Ever.
Yep.
Ever. I think that 0.07% of the time, hiring your friends works. Other than that, 0.07. I'm very very calculated there. 0.07%, because the challenge ultimately becomes.
So you're saying I got a better chance of being a New York Times best-selling author than having a friend work out in my organization.
Well, I think you've got a pretty good chance of being a New York Times best-selling author anyways, but yeah.
You are crazy.
But yeah, no, I really think that. And it is a challenge to come down on your friends when they're not getting their work done. It's a challenge to challenge them. Nobody wants their interpersonal, close personal friend relationships to be pushing them and trying to motivate them all the time to get X, Y, and Z done. And it creates a rift that is made worse by the fact that you had that interpersonal relationship, and that person expects a level of understanding, maybe is the word, or whatever it is, but it doesn't work. So that's the first thing.
Expected on your side too. Check this out really quick. And I love that we're just going back and forth, and hopefully our listeners appreciate it too. But honestly, in recruiting, one of the biggest mistakes that VPs do is they hire people that have worked for them in the past all over the place. And the reason why it's a mistake is because, Garren, if I'm a VP of sales, if I'm a CRO and I worked with you 10 years ago, man, you're a different man right now than you were 12 months ago,
right? Not
12 years ago. Yeah. So the problem is that the CRO or VP of sales feels like they know that person, so they don't ask the difficult questions. And that's where a really good recruiter, throwing a plug out, Woodbridge, Justin Kane, Mike Cavalier, Carrie Healy, can't do it without her. Really, really difficult, questions are the most important thing, because you're gonna really figure out how that person's changed in the last 10 years.
100%.
That's the deal.
So the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. That is the saying, right? That's what everybody always says. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't, which is why most people always float back to those individuals they've worked with and had success with, as opposed to trying to blaze new ground and focus on the present. And I think that's the lesson. Don't hire out of your past. Hire in your present. Hire for the present. Not what you've seen take place.
Hire for the future too. Yeah.
Yeah. Not what you've seen taking place. Not what somebody promises you they're going to be able to get done. Or hire for what they have the ability to do today, what they're passionate about today, and not focus on those other two things, because you can't predict the future. You don't know what's going to happen or how they're going to work out. No promises that they make now are really verifiable until you get there, and you don't want to bet your business on that. And so hire someone that's already successful, is already passionate, that's already wanting to be in this space with or without you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the big things is don't hire your friends. Hire for the present. When we're talking about hiring, picking people.
Yeah.
And I think last but not least, especially if you're starting a business, entrepreneurship is quite different, especially when you bootstrap a business and you didn't go get, you didn't have a nest egg or this big pot of money to pull from and pay salaries, and everybody's kind of pitching in, bootstrapping to help generate the revenue to then pay themselves back. That's a different situation as well, and you have to have just pure gut to be able to get through that. And not a lot of people have that. Not a lot of people have the ability to take a break from their paying job to focus on a project. Not a lot of people have the support system. My wife, Lindsay, you're amazing. I know we're going to listen to this later, and I just want to say that I literally, the DeskRig would not exist. She's always saying, Garrett, I want to be on the team.
Same thing with Cindy.
I want to be on the
team. Man. Woodbridge Worldwide would not exist without.
Listen, there is no DeskRig without Lindsay. There is no DeskRig without my wife. She has thoughtfully and confidently taken the role of provider in our family. She takes on the cooking, takes on cleaning the house all the time. I mean, she does all the domestic stuff. She goes out and she makes money. She supports me being able to chase this dream because she believes in it. She believes in me. And thank you, honey, for that. But more importantly, I think it's just you don't realize how much that support system matters until you're in a place where you've worked for 12 months and you haven't pulled the check.
Yeah, because you're putting any bit of profit back into it,
100%.
Any bit of profit. It's funny. It's funny. People don't realize this, but you're on the clock all the time, as an entrepreneur, right? I saw.
Always.
No disrespect, but I saw a video you posted for another podcast you were on in Australia last night with some goofball interviewing you, whatever. But totally not a breath of fresh career, by the way. Just saying. I saw something.
Throwing shade at Julian. Julian, I love you. It's okay. I'm a little salty about you posting the and clip, but we're good. We're good. It's okay.
It's funny. The first thing I said was, "Oh my God, look at Garren's presence versus this cat, Julian." I mean, you look like you are literally, you could be given the presidential address.
FYI, he has shot video for National Geographic, all over the world. He is
he forgot some shit.
Cameraman,
he forgot some shit.
A world-class cameraman. That guy's a world-class.
He forgot some shit then.
Yeah, and he knows his stuff. I felt honored to be in his presence, frankly.
That's cool. That's really cool. Really quickly, so we've done a lot of chatting, but video conferencing, the new normal, this platform, all these different platforms that are out there, there's been a ton of press over the last 12 months because COVID thrusted people into working from home. There's no more office. How has the shift been for you, been for DeskRig, and essentially what are you seeing out there?
For the tools?
Yeah.
Well, the tools have evolved. I mean, I mentioned earlier, and I think that's by far the biggest advancement so far in the tools. Now, Elgato is also doing some big moves. They recently had, on the 15th of this month, actually, they released a few products, one of which is a webcam that provides really an extremely high quality image, uncompressed. There's a lot of little technical things about that camera that are really nice, but that really moves the bar forward because people can get a high quality image and provide that high quality experience without the price tag to go along with it. And it's no DSLR, mirrorless full frame camera and nothing like that, but it is a huge step forward with lowering the technical capability to provide that type of high quality sensory experience, which is great. So the software hasn't come so far. Is the big tool that's come along and that I would really mention and continue to mention. I love that company.
Well, just what I'm going to say to you, and I appreciate you doing that. Everybody listening to this, don't go By the way, spelling that is probably going to be difficult, but reach out to Garren at DeskRig because he's going to point you in the right direction.
We're partners with and I will say that there is a time and a place. There is the 90% of people out there I think is perfect for. Frankly, I really believe that. And 10% they want to drive a Ferrari. I mean, some people want to be in a Prius driving to work every day. No. Some people want to be in the supercar, the McLaren. So if you want to drive a McLaren to work every day and show up on video calls and people say, "Damn, you drove a McLaren," right?
This guy's doing something right.
We can make you drive. We can teach you how to drive that. If you want to just show up more professionally in your video calls, a more engaging experience, you can drive the Prius as well. Right? They both have their place. They both have their value. And I don't think
park it around back.
You discount one from the other. They're not built for the same purpose. So right. That's what I would tell people out there is, decide what perception matters to you. How much does perception matter to you?
Well, let's talk about that for a second, right? Because that old saying of you only have one chance to make a good first impression is everything. So people, you need to step up your video presence. There's no question about it. No more being down in the picture, looking up, ceiling, windows in the background.
There's no excuses.
I was on there are no more excuses.
Nope. Coronavirus.
Listen.
Yep.
I felt naked. My house got hit by lightning. I had to use my MacBook Pro for a couple of Zoom calls, video calls. It was awful. It was awful. It was so bad. But now, I got everything back up and running, which
it feels good, right? You don't want to work without it once you have that capability. It feels so nice to go into your video calls and the first thing somebody says is, "Wow."
Yeah.
And then
no, honestly, I've said this before, man. When I'm on a video call, well, it's now becoming, I'm going to use this term again, the new normal, right? And it's almost expected. And just like you said, the 90 percentile, the 90% of the people, they recognize that you look badass and that you have a killer background and you got your name and your title and company and all that stuff on there, and that you can flip-flop in between sharing screens. But one, they don't really know how it's being done, and two, it's almost like expected now. Like every time somebody's on a new video call for the day, they expect to see new stuff, right? They expect to see people's presence being much more clear and concise, right? And the speaker, we've got microphones and everything now, but so let me just say this. One chance to make a first impression, absolutely 100%. I don't want to forget about DeskRig, but I also want to talk about this marketing push you're doing out there and that we're seeing on social media. Tell us why you're doing that? Are you doing that to grow DeskRig? Are you doing that because that's another service you're providing? Because we've talked about that too. Let's get on.
Yeah, I'll dive right into that. So I saw years ago an individual named Shay Rowbottom. Are you familiar with Shay?
Because
of me, right? You know Shay because of me. Shay is the LinkedIn queen. She really came from the bottom up, started creating videos. She moved over. She had some experience at other marketing agencies, some of the best news feed marketers in the world she worked under. And anyway, she came over to LinkedIn and started building her video marketing business there. Her video marketing practice blew up. I think she has 1 million, 2 million followers on LinkedIn, some crazy number. And she started a video marketing school. I saw this transformation of her happening and her growing this followership. And every book I've ever read about starting a business, the most important thing to making a movement is building an audience. It's building people, right? People make the movement. People move the puck forwards, as it were. And so the follower count, as much as it is a vanity metric, it matters. And so I saw her doing that, building her audience, and I knew that DeskRig needed an audience to then go back and build. So I joined her boot camp because I wanted to be able to learn how to make these newsfeed marketing videos. Shay, you're awesome. Thanks for everything. All that's to say, I started creating these newsfeed marketing videos. And going back to the business. I'm going to tie this into the same conversation. So I joined in February, and I had a disagreement with my co-founder at the time. No names needed, doesn't matter. And he basically said something to the effect of, this is a dumb decision. We shouldn't be spending money on this. This is a bad idea. I don't believe in it. And it caused a rift between us that ultimately is why we split up, which, by the way, we didn't just finish that discussion, but I had to fire my best friend, which is why I told you, don't hire your friends, because I lost a really close friend that I truly loved. And that was painful. But I knew that these newsfeed marketing videos were the future of marketing. It's a way to get organic eyes without spending dollars. And you also have a repeatable resource asset that you can share out moving forwards.
And you already have the best platform out there.
Right. So when you look at, this kind of body of work that I've built over time, there's this series that I've created called 1 Minute, 1 Up. And it's really just designed to add value to my prospects. People in my audience that I think don't know the same things that I know about virtual calling, virtual selling. These are all things that I technically could sell as intellectual property and knowledge and training and technique. I give away for free as added value to hopefully grow people's, expertise in the video.
Knowledge base.
Yeah, their knowledge base. Exactly. To professionally develop in this space that is new, I want to provide value because I have a lot of experience that I've gained over the past 3 to 5 years that a lot of people didn't have going into coronavirus. So I wanted to help. And that is really the idea behind newsfeed marketing videos. You provide value, pay it forward. And then when it's the time for that person to take action on something like your stuff, it's traditional inbound marketing for the newsfeed video. So I went to Shay's course, learned how to do that. And I used the DeskRig, the build, to enable myself to create velocity and momentum with my video creation process, because post-production is the biggest effort when it comes to creating videos. Would you agree? I mean, you record, then you got to give it to an editor or edit yourself, and you got to do blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Let me say something to that note, man. Like, even these podcasts,
it's effort.
Some of these other people, they got teams of folks, right? They're adjusting color, they're adjusting mic volume, they're adjusting, everything, background noise. I mean, you and I are doing this on our own right now, and thanks to DeskRig, you have the ability to kind of do that. There sure is. There's some editing that takes place after. I think I've got it down to probably about an hour before Apple Podcast gets my podcast, Google Podcast gets my Spotify, whatever podcast channel that or platform you subscribe to gets my podcast, because it's one fell swoop that it can, once it's done, I just hit submit and it goes in. But then you got to worry about the video portion, which a lot of folks are watching us on right now on YouTube, and there's some editing that goes into play there. And then what about marketing it? There's also another, and I'm going to employ your help on this for this one specifically, because there's nobody that does it any better. I mean, Shay Rowbottom's got some stuff to learn from you. I'm telling you right now. Now, I'm just going to say that too. Garren, you're an anomaly, right? Because you're technical. You're listen. If they say there's not smart people in Tennessee, there's at least one. No, I'm just joking about my friends in Tennessee. No,
You're not.
No, yes, I am. So, you take things to the next level because of how how things work, right? When I say things, I'm talking about the computer, I'm talking about tying things in, I'm talking about how to best influence people, all that stuff. So I truly believe that the Shay Rowbottom course, which, by the way, I will look into, I'll put a link to her LinkedIn profile so you guys can follow her as well in the notes field of this podcast and video cast. But I would argue that you take what she taught to the next level. I don't think that there is anyone that went to her course that the day they got out had the ability to do what you do.
Brother, that's why I joined her course, right?
Yeah.
I knew that every single person in there had the mental ability now, after going through the course, the technique and understanding on how to generate scripts that generate interest, that obviously are what you need to get people to click on the video to begin with. That part is what she teaches. It's that technique to be consistent as a content creator, to generate ideas, topics, to come up with a takeaway statement, to, write that into a script that ultimately provides value to people. That's what she teaches. She doesn't teach video production. She doesn't pretend to try to teach video production. She says,
Gotcha.
Shoot your videos, send them to an editor. And when I came onto the course, I knew that was a strategic play for me.
Gotcha.
And I knew that once I started creating videos, the people in that course would see the difference between what they were creating and what I was creating, and know that I was able to train them on those techniques, give them the creative to give them more confidence when making these scripts, so that their videos came out as an A+ production. And that was a strategic move for us. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that compliment. But I think that
one more thing that I want to bring up that so many of our listeners don't know. Garren, and by the way, you might blush here when I tell you this, but a year ago, you were scared shitless to go on to video. You didn't like being recorded. You didn't like being on video. You were like, listen, that's not really my thing. It took a lot of like mental and physical pushing for you to get up and do it. And look at you, man. Look at you. And I'm going to throw a little plug out for me. Like, I think I helped that cause, right? Getting you to just get up and get it, and I think we had a challenge, right? Didn't we have a challenge or something like that?
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said
What's that?
I'm glad you said that, because I started this boot camp in February. I didn't post my first video, and I want people in the crowd to know this. I didn't post my first video until halfway through June. Between then, halfway through June, and now is June 14th, and now I've had more leads for business that have closed than in the past 12 months combined. Just
Wow.
Put that in perspective. And we were doing we were trying to do a lot of work back then as well to try to generate interest and leads. But there is nothing more powerful right now as an opportunity than LinkedIn video and newsfeed video. Those two things for marketing, for anybody who's listening out there who wants to grow your business, who wants to start a business, start shooting videos, providing value to your personas that you want to sell to, and they will come. They will come, and you will get those leads and get the recognition you need. And I'm glad. Thank you for saying that, because you are right. We had to have that challenge. Now I look back at it, that was that week. I was like, look, I'll post 3 if you post 3. I need a kick in the ass, because I was subconsciously.
No, you were conscious about it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You were subconscious.
No, you're right.
You were like, dude, I don't like doing it.
I don't even like being on the interviews like this, to be honest with you.
And by the way, like, so this is an example. This is a huge example that pushed you. That pushed you, that challenge we had where we were each other's accountability partner for 1 week. That accelerated you into what you're doing right now. You kept up with it. Now, I'm over here lying and believing in myself that my business is a little different and I really don't need to. I got to step my game up. I didn't continue on with it, and it's not just because my house got struck by lightning. Yeah, I posted a couple. But man, you've taken it to the next level, and it's been awesome to see. It's been awesome to see how you're the CEO of DeskRig. How have you changed as the CEO? What are you doing differently now than you weren't doing 12 months ago?
Making newsfeed videos. I mean, really, yeah, I say that as a joke. That is the big difference. The two things that I've changed is, number one, my mindset. My mindset is that this mission that I have to help bring high quality video to the hands of every person who needs it, who wants to be able to work from where they're at and earn what they're worth. That's the resolve at executing that mission at the cost of almost anything is the first thing. I think before I would have told you, if you asked me, well, if you knew you were going to lose some important people in your life as a result of this mission, would you stop today? And I would have been like, probably. It's not worth people I love. But looking now.
Let me say something, dude. That relationship, if he was truly, this co-founder was truly your good friend, it'll eventually come back, man. It ain't worth it. Life's too short.
Man, there's two sides to every story, right? There's two sides to every story. I recognize that. I'm sure that, I did some things that he didn't see as good. And
I'm sure you did.
Probably damaged our relationship. But, the difference in my
These things heal, man.
In my belief is that I was doing things for our business and I was focused on our project more because I have a family that I have to ultimately provide for, and I don't have time to play around. I don't have time to mess around and dilly-dally. Like there's got to be some urgency. So I have more urgency about what I'm doing. I have less fear than I had in the beginning about getting myself out there. And that's honestly as a result of newsfeed videos as well. That is a kind of a fall-off effect is I've made these videos and then people kind of lift me up and say, wow, you're doing so awesome. And we love these videos and that really lifts me up and gives me the strength to say, you know what, I'll go on more podcasts. I won't be as afraid to be on interviews and make more videos and really get myself out in the community and just spread the love that I have, because I think I always was concerned that my personality was just too much and I was too intense, and people would, react negatively to that. But what I've found is that intention matters. And when I lead with love, and that intensity is softened by that love for my community, for those people that I'm trying to support, and then I'm well received, and it feels cyclical. Like it comes back around, and then that lifts me, gives me more confidence to continue on my mission. And so, those are the big things that are different is I have more confidence, less fear, and I'm making newsfeed videos.
Okay. Really quickly, just so we're clear, newsfeed videos, is that a platform?
No, newsfeed videos are that, when you're scrolling through, you're doom scrolling on Facebook, you're doom scrolling on Instagram, you're doom scrolling on LinkedIn, just those videos that people post, native videos that get you to hook you in. They're like, okay, I'll press that. I'll watch that.
Yeah.
That's a news feed video. YouTube is more of like your tutorial engine, where it's like a search engine for learning things. When you go to a social media platform, you're scrolling through individual commentaries. That's a news feed.
Got you. Okay. I think I knew that, but for some folks, maybe my mom.
My mom.
Your mom.
I love your son.
I don't know what the heck that means. Man, this has been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. I always ask this question, if you were in my shoes, is, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't?
What would I have asked myself? Oh, man.
And I'm sure there's a long list.
That's a really hard question. We've talked about a lot of things today that I definitely came here to talk about. What I would have asked me is probably, what advice do you have for a young entrepreneur?
Okay. Why don't you answer that?
If you're not ready to sacrifice everything for that business, don't start it. Don't start it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think that's part of it. The other thing I want to tie into that from my experience is that life is so freaking short. And I am just 47 years old. And I'm telling you right now, maybe it was an epiphany I had this morning, but I need to start enjoying life for what it is. Right. And you need to you talk about the energy that you're empowered by, this energy from comments people are making. Right. If you really, I've got a friend of mine, I'm going away with him this weekend. We are going to get fucked up. We're going away with four guys. No, we're not really. We're going to play some golf and just do guy stuff and cook some steaks and play cornhole and up in Vermont.
Drink some beers. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to drink beer.
Long story short, one of the four guys, man, it's almost like he's kind of like oblivious to like what's going on, but he's just really enjoying life. Like he's just enjoying life, man. And you got to tie that in.
You do.
To what you're doing. Because if you enjoy what you're doing, there is nothing going to get in your way.
You're right. No, you're
nothing
right.
going to get in your way.
And I think the best way to sum that up is it is the journey, not the destination. It 100%. The rewards are in the journey. It's in the growth. It's in the challenges that you overcome day to day. And so when you wake up and you're just groggy and you don't want to get up and do the grind, you need to reevaluate it. Because if you're not reframing your perspective to think about that day-to-day joy that you derive from chasing your dreams, then that destination, you're gonna just run through your journey and then turn around and say, I really wish I would have just taken stock of how amazing that moment in time was, and all the excitement and all the fear and all these emotions that get wrapped into entrepreneurship that
100%
that get discussed a lot. You hear them on podcasts like this and you hear other entrepreneurs tell you, but it does not, get through your thick skull until you're there, until you're feeling that you wake up and you're like, why am I doing this? Like, this is like, we seem so far off. We're so far from our goals.
You know what you're making me think about right now, Garren?
What's that?
Two other things. And I honestly just started doing this year, the 2021. I just started doing this year. See, our own mind, I realized that our own mind sets limitations. It sets limitations. So I used to have a goal, and that goal might be a revenue goal. That goal might be a growth goal in terms of personnel, in terms of people, right? In terms of growing Woodbridge worldwide. Let's just use a revenue goal as an example. If you have a goal, if you set a goal, let's say it's $1 million, okay? In terms of generating $1 million in revenue as a startup, if you're a young startup and your goal is to generate $1 million, you need to immediately 10x that number. Because if you 10x that $1 million goal, you are going to act as if you need to attain 10 times $1 million, right? But if your goal stays at $1 million, we set goals that are normally, as human beings, we set, because we've lived it, we set goals as stretches but attainable.
Right.
So because we don't want to fail at that $10 million number. Fail at that shit.
Yes.
But guess what? You are going to blow by your original goal because you are acting as if you need to generate 10 million.
Shoot for the stars. You'll reach the moon.
That literally 100%. The other thing I've been doing as of 2021 is they say to surround yourself with people you want to be like in 10 years.
Hey, that's why I'm here.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hanging with you.
That's what I'm
everybody wants to be like Garren Parkins.
Shut up.
No, I'm serious. Like, we joined, thankfully, everybody's got, this pompous guy. We joined a private country club. Listen, I'm in Connecticut. You're in Tennessee. We got this shit here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I got pants with whales on them right now. I'm kidding.
No, you're not. No, you're not. The polo to match it too. Probably, the little things like color match to your shirt, your shorts.
We joined a private club. I love playing golf. Our son Eli loves playing golf. So like, we were doing the math. Okay, if we go play golf every weekend at a public golf course, first of all, the course is not going to be as nice as it is as a private club. Second of all, you're not going to have the amenities. Third of all, you're going to end up spending close to what that dollar amount's going to be to join the club anyway. There was a great deal. There was no initiation fee, blah, blah, blah. But I'm finding that these guys that are members there that I'm hanging around with, they're all very hugely successful people. They might own tile businesses, where they're like selling and building tile. One guy owns a stone business. Another guy owns a construction company. I'm talking about the owners of these companies. Yeah. These guys make millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. they're driving Maseratis and Teslas and all this shit. I pull in my pickup truck. It's a nice pickup truck, but I pull into my I don't care. There's a couple other pickup trucks. There's like a pickup truck section in the parking lot. And, but they say to surround yourself with people that you want to be like in 10 years. So that's something I'm starting to do. My advice is love life, man. Cherish life. I just lost a guy that I grew up with and went to high school with. This week passed away. Been battling with cancer for a long time. But maybe that's what helped me open my eyes to really like cherishing and valuing life.
The moment.
That's my advice, my own personal advice. I don't know if you guys are looking for that, but tied into Garrens. Oh,
bring it in,
yeah.
bring it in.
You know what? It's funny because, while my dad is really good friends with his dad, I want to say we've lost we weren't ever really in touch. He wasn't like a really good friend. It was more of an acquaintance. But man, you hate to see that. This kid was a dad. This kid just battled. This kid was a gladiator, man. Just battling cancer. For as long as you know.
Any loss of life is devastating.
Sucks, man.
Any loss of life is devastating. And cancer is a nasty disease. I hope in 10 years we have I'm sure we'll have another podcast together every year. But I hope in 10 years we're talking.
Let's make this a plan, because I want people to follow your journey, our journey together.
I don't think people realize that, we met through a consulting or a recruiting opportunity. You reached out to the company I was working at. Maybe that we talked about that on the last podcast, but we've really become friends, like actual real friends. We just chat sometimes, and I want the audience to know that the
Yank and the redneck.
Yeah, and we've just got such. And honestly, I want to tell you, I tell my wife this all the time. I look at you like a big brother. I really look up to you. I think what you've built at Woodbridge is incredible. You're an incredible dad. You're an incredible energy to be around. Always positive. You care about people. When I told you I had some things going on for my healthcare, you were reaching out every day. Like, who does that?
I'm about to call your doctor if he doesn't respond.
And I want to say, you don't have to meet somebody in person for you to build that relationship. Video has power, and Justin and I have been able to create a friendship that, yes, we have a lot of commonalities and similarities, but we were able to really create something that was tangible. It's not a virtual friendship. Like, we're going to make plans definitively, when we can do it as, families, separate family plans and all the other things that are going on in life. We're going to make a plan to see each other and to meet up, and I think that you can bring that virtual relationship into the physical world when the time is right. But in the meantime, don't try to not create relationships with people all over the world, because the internet enables that. And you can find like-minded individuals. And I'm just so grateful that I've had the opportunity to be in your circle. And I feel honored and blessed to be one of those people you decide to spend your time with, Justin.
Oh, man. You make it easy, Garren. And that is a great way to wrap this up. I will tell you, we are definitely going to make a plan. I got I got about 24 corn husks that I'm drying out back, so that when I come down to Tennessee, we can throw them on the roofs of houses. And isn't that what you guys do for fun down there?
No, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, boy.
On the tin roof?
We do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh, that might be Arkansas, but that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Isn't it just...
No, that's not a Tennessee thing, but we do some crazy redneck stuff, and we can get as country as you want, Justin.
Oh. Okay.
Hey, man.
What's that movie, The Reckoning?
Thank you
thank you.
for having me on today.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. Love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
We'll talk again. You know what? We're going to do this. We're going to do this on A Breath of Fresh Career every year.
Deal.
All right. Don't hang up. Don't stop this, because we got to make sure this recording populates.
Oh, yeah. No, we're good.
Hang on.